Yo, howdy. It is the Batman Cave Podcast. I'm your host, Bat, aka Scott Johnson, and this here is my man cave. On this show, we talk about stuff that interests most guys, like video games, guns and shooting, movies and TV shows, product reviews, and so much more. If you know what underoos are, and even better yet, you actually owned a pair, well then come on in. You're among friends here. A few episodes back, we created a new video game series called Co-op-palooza. In this three-part series, we will be talking about our favorite co-opable video games, along with we sprinkled in a few classics here and there that were at the top of our all-star list. This specific episode, though, is part 2, and we'll be hearing from the Lowman, Mr. Jason High, on one of his current favorite co-op games. And then we'll hear from Mr. Ron Neese on part 3. So, Mr. Lowman and Ronnie Bear, welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Ron, with a nickname like Ronnie Bear, do you get a lot of hugs?
Yeah. It's a well. I was a small bear cub, but now that I'm older and I have a beard and a family, I'm now a grizzly bear. So
you're full-fledged.
Still rocking the beard?
Yeah, I still got the beard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
He keeps the hair around as long as he can until his wife says, "Okay, it's time. It's time to get rid of it." And she cuts it in your sleep, right?
Yeah, she cuts it in my sleep. She vacates all the woodland creatures that are living in there, and
has to shake your head a little bit to get all those critters out.
Yeah.
And the whole forest departs your head. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I thought before we would actually get going here, maybe we might talk about some quick current news flash items here, and yeah, here this just in. Well, Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, obviously very successful first go around with DICE doing it, and everybody knows obviously that it's coming out in October. They just announced that there's going to be an open beta that obviously will come out for everybody October 6th. If you pre-order the game, you get it a couple days early. And then this thing comes out on, I did not realize this thing comes out on October 31st, Halloween. So Ron, you probably are going to have your wife take your child out, trick-or-treating instead, right? You stay home. Ron.
What's that?
Wake up, Ron.
Wow.
I was reading an article. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ron, this here is called a podcast. I don't know if you knew that or not. We typically ask each other questions. And
300 listeners.
Yeah. Wow. I said that this game comes out October
Alex, can
31st.
you repeat the question?
Yeah.
This is Ehan or Tub busy?
Yeah. Let me get somebody else in here. This game, Battlefront 2, comes out on Halloween, so I was just saying you'll probably have to get your wife to do the trick-or-treating instead of you, right?
Yeah.
Right? No?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the crazy thing is that for me, I think this could possibly be a day one purchase. A lot of our friends have said this to be a day one purchase, except Mr. Lowman has now said this is not going to be a day one purchase.
Dude, that's coming 3 days after Assassin's Creed. I don't know. I may be awfully busy with the Assassin's Origins. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. You're talking what might be the front runner for probably going to be the game of the year.
I think Assassins is going to get game of the year.
Oh my God!
I'm calling it right now. You heard it here, Batman Cave Podcast.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to get lost in the shuffle. My opinion.
Yeah,
okay. That's just me.
We'll see. We shall see.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Battlefront 2 going to be a cool game. Everybody's kind of excited about the new class system, and people say this, it feels great. They've got this thing completely tweaked out. Hopefully it's a good deal. We'll see about that. So the beta is announced. That's when we'll get our hands on it and give it a test drive. Player Unknown Battlegrounds. This is a game that's been out for a little over 3 months. They've already sold 4 million copies of this thing and counting. Everybody cannot wait for this game to get out onto the console. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a little longer. They didn't actually tell us when it was going to come out anyway. But we're all kind of led to think that, maybe this game is going to come out, fall, middle fall, whatever. And now who knows when it's going to be coming out. Could be late in the year. Fiscal calendar year could be a fiscal year deal, which is, maybe, I don't know, first quarter next year. What do you guys think? What's your prediction on that one?
I think it's going to be next year. I think that they'll still get us out like a beta or something to play. But I think the actual launch of the game is going to be 2018. Hopefully early 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I bet there'll be like an early access, like ARC or something like that we'll be able to download on the marketplace. But, with all the hot titles that's been released at E3, I think it's going to, I think it'll get pushed back for a little bit for the consoles anyway.
Well, they got 2 new maps too that they're supposed to trying to work in, and maybe that's why they're pushing it back too. Maybe they want to try to release it with more than just the one map.
Well, it kind of makes sense, to go ahead and put those in there as well. So, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. I am excited about this game. I thought the New Order Wolfenstein, or whatever it was called, that came out. Was a lot of fun, a really fun shooter. A lot of these shooters are, they're kind of on rail type of games, but you know what? If they make them like, creative, I think they're cool. They're not just a Call of Duty, I'm going to throw my grenade and shoot my gun. This looks really, really cool. I know for me, it could be a day one purchase, maybe wait a little bit, but once again, Lowman has said negatory good buddy.
October is getting awfully crowded,
dude. That's why you get paid the big bucks, man.
That's right. When the grandfather of first-person shooters puts out a game, you stop what you're doing and you pay homage, and you get it day one. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, there is no questioning. You just do it.
Well, just let me get your credit card number.
Okay, 4.
Yeah. 9
1, 3.
Expiration date.
Yeah. Well, this game's coming out October 27th. Looks like to be a good time. Crackdown 3. Did you hear this news today? Exciting. This is what the guys at Crackdown said. We've got some exciting quote unquote news that we're going to be sharing about the game at San Diego's Comic-Con coming on later this month. And everybody already is saying, yeah, right.
Sorry.
Yeah, right.
The only exciting news I want to hear from them is that Crackdown 3 has been scrapped and they're currently working on Crackdown 4. That's the only exciting news that I can.
They're just going to give it out for free and move on.
Yeah. We made a horrible mistake.
I will say this, though. They have not said a whole lot about co-op. So if co-op has a destructible environment, that will be a little bit of a saving grace for me, I think, with this game. But they've not said anything. Maybe that might have something to do with the exciting, quote-unquote, news that they have. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And then on the last piece of little tidbit news flash we got here, Overwatch got a new character, Doomfist. Either one of you guys played this since Doomfist came out?
I have, yeah.
Have you played Doomfist? Have you played as him?
Yeah, I played him on the public testing realms on the PC.
And?
I think he's great. I think he's and like Jason and I were saying, Overwatch does a great job of balancing, when they just add a character, they do such a good job at, making sure that it's a balanced character and everything. But yeah, he's great. His attacks are great. He's definitely a menace out on the battlefield. He's got his left arm is like a 4-shot, like a little burst thing, kind of like Roadhogs a little.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a little distance on it. And then his left hand is obviously his Doomfist. He does a sprinting kind of charge type deal.
Is he a heavy? Is he a tank?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
don't know.
No, I wouldn't say he's a heavy tank. He's not like a. I wouldn't say he's like a Reinhardt or a Roadhog or anything like that.
So he's not in that class. He's not in the tank class.
He's in the attacker class. I'm not sure exactly what class.
Has this hit consoles? Because I literally just fired up the Xbox about 30 minutes ago, and there was an update for Overwatch. So I don't know. Did it hit today?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think they've released the.
No.
Did it for the consoles?
Sure. Well, I don't really know that, but
I didn't think they said they released a date yet for the consoles. It was coming soon. I thought they said.
Well, Jason wouldn't know anyway because he can't really update his Xbox without his hamster
that's
falling
old news. I can update.
Hamster falls over.
You know what's funny is a little bit of that Overwatch lore is what was the new character that they just released? The droid, the android girl.
Yeah. I don't remember what
she could drop the shield or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they were saying how, like, the little background story, the little girl that created her, her family was, she watched her town and everything get ravaged by Doomfist. So she created this character to counteract Doomfist, everything that Doomfist does, which this character does. When she drops the shield, it can block the majority of Doomfist attack.
Mm-hmm.
She can push him away. She can pull everybody closer. So, like they said, like her background in the storyline plays in perfectly with Doomfist, and her attacks and defensive maneuvers counteract everything that Doomfist has to offer. So it's pretty cool.
How many characters are they going to add to this game? Do they got a max? Did they mention it all?
I don't know, man.
I don't know, but they're all great. Every character in Overwatch is incredible. It's very well done.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see and give that a whirl. See what tank is, or see what Doomfist is like. So, well, hopefully it's better than Iron Fist. Hopefully. But how could that be? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, previously on the Batman Cave podcast, we discussed how in the last couple of years, our gaming group of guys has been pretty seriously engaged in co-op games. There's been a bunch of good stuff that's come out since then and worthy of our mention here. To our guest in the cave today, you may hear games that you have already played. You may hear some games that you haven't. You might want to give a try. If you've got a co-op game that you've played that you think is like fantastic and that we don't mention, you're totally invited to go and leave a comment on the website. All you have to do is to go to batmancavepodcast.com and click on this episode, which would be Co-op-palooza episode part 2. And then you'll go to the page and you can leave a comment at the bottom. It would be fantastic to hear what co-op game you think is the best. And we'll go from there. And of course, last time we spent the majority of the podcast talking about Techland's game, Dying Light. All three of us simply love that game. And funny enough, all three of us just bought the Dead Island Definitive Collection through a sale on Xbox as a nod to the game, since Techland did the first one. And since that episode, actually, what we were talked about, Dying Light, they actually released some information that they are coming out with some even more content, DLC, for the DLC version the following this year. That's 2 years after the initial release of the game. And the cool thing is that it is free. So that is another reason why we love this game, because those guys just don't give up.
Do we have a date on that?
And there's no date on that, but I did hear today that this is going to be a bridge from Dying Light to the sequel. That's what I heard. So
Sweet.
Awful stinking cool. So anyway, on with this episode. We're going to hear from Mr. Lowman to see what he's brought us tonight, co-op wise. What do you got?
Okay, well, I thought about this, and just to obviously, Scott, I could talk about Mercenaries too. for a long time.
Yeah.
But I want to stay a little more current with some games that people might actually know a little more about than going so old school. So I'm just going to start it off with Ubisoft's The Division. I think we all played this when it came out. I think it was a great game, a lot of fun. It maybe didn't have the legs that we were kind of hoping that it was going to have. But I don't know about you guys. I just totally geeked out on just all the outfits in this game. I think every time I fired it up, I was putting on a fireman's outfit or some biker jacket and a helmet, and just fooling around with all the different outfits. I love that about this game. I switched it around every time. Did you guys do that?
No.
No.
Not so much.
I think I got my character the way I wanted him, like early on, and then I skinned out my guns probably more than I did my character. But dude, a guy like you who really loves to buy outfits at the mall on weekends and come home trying all that stuff, I get it. Okay, that's cool. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I nerded out on it for sure. I was changing it all the time, but I thought the game was really good. I really liked that you could drop in and drop out with all your friends. I played it with a lot of different people, and a lot of times when I'd jump in with maybe Tub or something like that, and his level would be different than mine. And something that was really cool, I thought, in this game is that when we were in there together and fighting enemies, the enemy that you were shooting at was to your level.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like if Jeff was fighting a different, an enemy, it was to his level. And, it's totally different than like Destiny. I remember playing Destiny, and, I would go in as like a level 16 and like, the golf dock would be in like the 30s or something, and fighting some boss that I couldn't even do anything to. They'd just be like, go hide behind that rock. And we'll take out the boss for you, But so I like that about The Division, is how, the enemies just were to your level no matter who was in the game. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. And I kind of like, too, how the game, put in there the ADS system. That's, aim down sights for, the layman. Eric, Eric, if you're listening, ADS is aim down sights. He's not a real hardcore gamer. But
I thought it was ABS, anti-braking, automatic braking system or something.
Yeah, I love having fun at their expense here. So yeah, that was it. It didn't have, that was, the co-op was fun. The story was okay, and all those, the different weapons and stuff like that. Obviously, it had the multiplayer mode, the Dark Zone, which was kind of cool. The Dark Zone, we tried that a few times, and I don't know, maybe Scott, did you get frustrated with that? The Dark Zone.
It got old because I felt like you never really went in. At first, it was one of those things where people avoided everybody, and there was only a few people that were out there really hunting people. Once you did kill someone, you became hunted, and everybody then tried to get after you. I think that was later on or whatever, which was a cool thing. It just, to me, it just kind of got a little old because I felt like every time you went in there, and you obviously had to do it for some of your missions and stuff to complete the game. You had to go in the Dark Zone, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I just felt like after a while, every time you stepped foot in there, you couldn't trust anybody at all, and I felt like you were going to get killed all the time. So it was, they never really had a multiplayer versus for that game, and it was an interesting concept. I will say that, and maybe if they would have supported the game a lot longer than what they did, man, they bailed on that game really, really fast. Probably the fastest I think I can ever think of any game. There's just no DLC for it. It was kind of frustrating because the whole map, you see all of New York, right? You're like, man, wonder if they'll open that up. I bet they'll open that part up and open that, and they never did. And it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. But I don't know. The Dark Zone was okay. I definitely liked the missions and stuff together. That was cool. The look of it was awesome. It looked cool. when it would have, when it would have snowstorms and stuff like that, and heavy snow would blow in and stuff. It looked really cool.
Yeah, I thought the weather effects and everything was pretty cool. Just I don't know, was it New York? I can't even remember.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, New York. Yeah, I just thought the setting was really cool, being in the city, and a little bit of that post, kind of apocalyptic, look to it. Everything kind of, ravaged and all that.
Empty,
I thought that was,
rundown, and
yeah.
things, cars didn't
cool.
work, and but I mean, Dark Zone wise, okay, it's okay. I much rather and preferred to play, with the squad outside of that, but
Yeah. Well, it just seemed like once we finished, the story and the campaign, and it just kind of lost its legs. It didn't seem to have that, continuing gameplay that, kept us, sticking it back in. So
yeah.
But I liked it. I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game.
Now let me ask you this, Jason, real fast on that, because I bought in for the gold edition on that game. And do you feel like that with the way Ubisoft did the purchasing of DLC on that game, do you think that left a kind of bad taste in your mouth a little bit? Because even if you bought the season pass, you still had to pay another $15 for another one of those Dark Zone expansions as well.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of like, like you said, there just wasn't, I felt like, with the mixture of the DLC and, still having to pay for it, even though you bought the season pass, and not really adding any new content. Did that leave a bad taste in your mouth at all, like it did me? Or
yeah, I mean, a little bit for sure. I think ultimately that was the problem, was because like you'd have it, and then this person wouldn't have it, and this and stuff like that, and I think everybody just kind of fell off as a group, really because of that, So
yeah, I agree.
I don't think there was enough game there for a $60 title, in my opinion. Versus,
really? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know. They didn't have any kind of free DLC really to it.
That was
because we can compare, since they're both Ubisoft titles. We can compare The Division with Ghost Recon Wildlands, right? And with those, like the map size, like Ghost Recon Wildlands is probably like 3 times the size of Division. It's huge. I mean, it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's massive map. And I feel like, I've not even finished Ghost Recons yet. And, I still feel like, it's like, man, this is a lot, for my money. And I don't know. I felt like with The Division, I liked it and I enjoyed it. And I think for us, it felt like it kind of had that Ghost Recon. What was the other Ghost Recon before Wildlands that we played? And we
Future Soldier.
Was it Future Soldier? Yeah, where the multiplayer was a little, their online stuff was kind of jank, but it was cool. It felt really cool, the way that when you went to the gunsmith and it expanded your weapon and stuff. That was a cool thing about The Division. Division felt like that. So it played real well. It felt good. Just content, I think, was the big deal, just lack of content.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was because it was cool going to, the headquarters there and figuring out what you needed to do next, and, building those 3 different systems, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Looting.
Well, I know
stuff
when it came out too, I mean, everybody was playing that game.
Yeah.
I'd come home from work and I'd turn it on, and there'd be, 5 or 6 guys in there, and be like, oh, let's see, who will I join, And like I said, the joining in was flawless. Worked really great, just coming in and jumping in with somebody and going on a mission together. I thought it was really good.
And you could
I agree.
respawn on your location. If they put me in New York and I was, 20 blocks away, I could still go and
Yeah, you could even see them on
fast
the
travel
map.
to
You could see
Yeah.
their little icon on the map and be
Yeah.
like, oh, there's there's Scott over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked all that.
I think too, when they have guns, and this is I don't know about you guys, but like I get into the gunsmithing stuff if they're realistic guns. I don't know why. I have a hard time, like with Destiny. I would really have a hard time geeking out over, Princess whatever's, hand of mercy. I would just have a hard time with that. I'm like, it's got this light level and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. Oh, there's a Scar L, and I found a vertical grip for it. Oh, sweet! And I can change the color of both of them. Oh, and I got an ACOG scope for it too, and then I've got a folding stock. I just felt like I really loved the game of the gun smithing of the game, and really getting down and finding guns that you're like, oh man, this gun is awesome. I love this gun. I mean, I know that I kept the Vector around a lot, and I also kept sniper rifles like a lot because I loved getting the first time I got like a halfway decent sniper rifle, because it made a big difference since the enemies were all based on hit points. Getting headshots made a big difference.
Oh yeah, big time.
Some of those guys wouldn't die, and you're like, just pummeling them. Also, the little toys and stuff that your class could have and stuff, the little robot turrets that you put out, and the little ball things spinning around and stuff. Those were all really cool. I thought those were really, really cool.
Yeah.
So not every building you could get into, but a lot of them you could, and you could go all the way through the apartments and and stuff like that, all the way up to the roofs and stuff. It was a cool game. It was definitely a cool game. How would you guys compare that? Okay, so both of you guys have played Ghost Recon. How would you compare the two, in your guys' opinion? What would you think?
Oh wow. I mean, there's definitely some similarities, just with the whole third person and stuff. But Wildlands is so much bigger.
Yeah. I think Wildlands seems to be a little more polished in the way of.
And Wildlands too, has I think the whole day-night cycle. They have vehicles and helicopters, and there's a lot more to that game.
That's true. There is a lot more, and it's got the the weather system, like you said, day-night cycle. I don't know about you guys, but I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but man, I think sniping in that game in Wildlands is just like some of the best sniping I've ever played on any game, because you really have windage and elevation do matter in the game. Windage maybe not so much, but elevation is definitely a big factor. And I felt like too, whenever you tag somebody, like your controller vibrated a little bit. There was a little bit of a thump, and it just was like so satisfying, to hit somebody from long range, or to go through a village to clear people out and stuff like that. But what would you say your preference would be when comparing those two games, and you've played them both? What would be your preference, pros and cons for both?
Well, like I said, there, Wildlands is so big, and it's got a lot more to it with the weather and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's the better game, I guess, ultimately. But I don't have near as much time in it as you do. So that's
Ron. You don't either, do you, Ron?
No, not as opposed to not Wildlands. I don't have a whole lot of time in it. But what time I do have in it, I've definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I had, playing The Division. I loved and the story felt a lot more robust in Wildlands than it did in The Division. Because The Division, it kind of felt like you were just, you go here, do this, take this here, it just kind of got a little repetitive to me, and there wasn't a whole lot to offer in a way of getting from point A to point B. You know, Wildlands, you can hop in a helicopter with your buddies and, you know, fly over a field and mow down some terrorists and, you know, pick up the objective and, you know, take it back, and you always had to fight your way through and everything. So I felt like that for me was a little more enjoyable, and it didn't feel as grindy as the Division did, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have freedom, a little more freedom in Wildlands than you do. Wildlands seems, you know, more of a classic open world game, even though Division is open world. I mean, you didn't have to, you could go and do side things and, you know, look for different stuff and whatnot. But at the end of the day, kind of like what you said, Jay, was, you know, content wise is really everything. You know, when you feel like you play, you know, I don't know about you guys, when I feel like I've played an open world game, and at the end of the game, I'm like, man, wow, there was a lot to do in this game. That was well worth $60.
Well, I mean, like you said, if Division had more, you know, free content, and they, you know, had been throwing out free content, I'd still be playing it probably.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree, because there's nothing that turned me away about that game. It just there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're done. Okay, a month and a half into that game, and we're done. All right.
Yeah, we go to the dark zone and have a decent time.
But in here,
pull your hair out.
yeah. What hair you have? Some of us pull our hair out.
Boys,
yeah. But and then you got Wildlands, you know, where it's like, I'm not even done. You know, and that game's been out. When did that game come out? Like March? Is that right? April?
Yeah, March, I think.
I mean, dang. It's definitely worth your money, no doubt, because there is a lot to do in that game. And even if you don't even, I think the cool thing about Wildlands versus, I agree with Ron, the Division felt more on rails than Wildlands does. I mean, Wildlands, we can get into a helicopter and fart around for 2 hours and absolutely get nothing done, but still have a blast doing it. You know what I mean? And the Division,
that's like Grand Theft Auto. You know,
exactly.
Like you got, you know, there's a main storyline and plenty of stuff to do in Grand Theft Auto. But,
right.
You know, the real meat and potatoes of the game is, you know, getting lost in the city. You know, getting lost in your environment and
well,
music.
Fallout, Far Cry, those games are all similar. You could, like with Far Cry, you could go hunting, you know, just for the fun of it, you know, and have absolutely.
I think you just segued into my second game.
Oh, let's bring it. I'll shut up. Go ahead. What yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Scott, you had to know. I mean, Far Cry 4. I mean, I gotta have it in there. We had so much fun playing that game. Jeez, just the look of that game, the mountains, the weapon sets, beautiful, gorgeous game, you know, colors. I guess probably the only real downside to Far Cry 4 was that you really couldn't just play the campaign together. You did, you know what I mean? You didn't do the story together, but you just had the whole open map to do all the outposts and stuff that were in there. But you didn't get to do the actual story, mode. So it was maybe a little disappointing, but man, how much fun did we have doing those outposts and just flying around on that map on, whether it be 4-wheelers or elephants.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is like you and I played Far Cry 3 and we did their little co-op thing with Far Cry 3, which were specific missions, right, that they made just for co-op. And we were like, okay, that's kind of fun. But when we got Far Cry 4 and we're like, oh, are you kidding me? We can go everywhere together? Oh my God. I mean, yeah. I mean, that was like heaven. It was just opening up everything, and maybe they will. I mean, I'm thinking they might with this new Far Cry have everything. The whole
they keep adding a little more to the co-op every time. So
yeah.
Well, Far Cry 5 is going to be, they said, the co-op storyline from start to finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Now the only down part though is there's only one save to play that off of. So if we jump into Scott's game and he plays it, it's his save that we have to come back to.
Yes, you're
I don't know
right.
if you
Yeah.
heard that.
Yeah, it would be great if. Well, I mean, that just forces you to say, "Hey, listen, we're not going to play outside of if you're going to dedicate yourself to playing with a buddy, then you need to do that.
Yeah.
Dedicate yourself playing with a buddy, and don't play any other time, which is really, really hard to do.
Yeah,
really hard to do. But
yeah, Scott. Yeah.
well, I'm saying it's really hard. I'm emphasizing really, really hard. No, dude, good call in that game because that game was a instant classic. Really cool story. Like you just said, environment where they had this around the Himalayas and stuff. The mountains were ridiculous. The super smart animal life, realistic animal life, dude, fantastic.
Oh man, you could wreck an outpost with an elephant.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
just
fun.
sneaking in like we would do and like tagging stuff and be like, okay, I'm going to shoot the lock off this cage and let this tiger out. Hopefully he'll kill a couple dudes. I mean,
well, remember
awesome.
we would painstakingly go into an outpost and try to raid it stealthily,
yes,
without raising any alarms, taking out every little alarm before it, disabling it.
Yep.
I tried that with Eric, not so successful.
No. Well, first of all, I don't think Eric knows how to crouch.
Not his forte.
Yeah, he doesn't know the word crouch or know the word silencer, so it might be trouble. Might be trouble. And the cool thing about that too,
I love it that he's not in here to defend himself.
Yeah, yeah. The cool thing about that too is that, and this is the thing, and maybe this is kind of what gets a little boring or maybe a little too easy, or you take it for granted with Wildlands. You throw your drone up, you drone around, beep beep beep. All right, I've tagged all 20 guys. It's real easy. Dude, like you just said, a Far Cry, you literally had to have a visual on them to tag them.
Yeah.
So it forced you.
Out.
Yeah, it forced you to get into position, look for people, and man, just several times where you'd come around the corner, and someone would be standing there, you're like, oh god, and you're like, just some really great, hilarious moments with that game. Just some fantastic stuff.
We can't forget the helicopters.
No. Yeah.
Which, if you remember, they were actually called Buzzards.
The Buzzards,
yeah, Buzzards. I thought it was Buzzards at first, but I think it's Buzzards. And of course, Herc, he just said they were little badass mini helicopters. But it's funny because I actually looked up, that they were called Buzzards, so I looked up where they got this from, and this was a design. They got these helicopters designed from an old helicopter back in like the 1950s. It was called a Benson B8, and it was just this little single manned gyro helicopter, and that's where they got the idea from this thing, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Remember, you would when you'd be flying this thing, you'd be going above some outpost and trying to scope it out and looking down, then all of a sudden the alarm would start going off and the light would start flashing. It was because you got too high. It had like an altitude.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get low enough again or whatever, stabilize it, because it'd start, swaying back and forth. Yeah, it would go down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was hilarious.
That game just had so many. Once again, you could literally have so much fun just farting around, for an hour or two and really get nothing accomplished. But all the side missions and stuff like that, I went and found all the books. I went and found all the masks. I that's one game that I really wanted 100%, because it was just such a great world, great atmosphere. It was definitely. I remember even someone had posted online that there were crocodiles in a certain river, and I'm like, dude, I gotta go find them. I gotta go find them. And I remember finding them on accident because I'd hunted them from forever, and I found them on accident because I put the helicopter down by the water, And I was like, I wonder what that is. And I went up to it, and it turned around and like snapped at me. It scared the crap out of me. And I remember recording it because I was like, oh, that was awesome. But how many times too where you're like, sneaking in on a village and you got your binoculars out or you got your scope out and you're looking and counting people, and all of a sudden you hear a growl in your right ear. And you're like, what? And you turn and there's a freaking bear like right there attacking you or something. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that world was alive for
it
sure.
Was.
It was great.
Did you ever do any of the DLC stuff?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Ron. I don't know why, Scott, we never did get that and play that, but didn't you and Curtis do that?
Yeah, Curtis and I did it. We got the DLC, and
what was that called?
It was the one where you had the one you could hunt a Yeti. You had to hunt a Yeti. So you had you had like a base that
you have it.
Mm-hmm. I got it late, but I did get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You got a little base that you started at the beginning. It's got a little story to it, but you can fortify the base. And they're, the raiders and everything come and, you have to fend all kind of ways of them or whatever, but you can hunt these Yetis way up in the mountains. And I mean, just to get up there was, a journey. But yeah, Curtis and I had a lot of fun doing that DLC stuff for that.
Was it very long?
I don't think it was very long. It just added in a different part of the world that, you couldn't, I don't think you could go access. I don't think you had access to other parts of the world when you were and launched that DLC, but the map, the area was huge, as in most Far Cry locations are. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that. It was great. Yeah,
because one of them was escape the prison, right?
Yeah.
And that was a really cool little mission there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, dude, that was.
Man, I feel like putting it in and playing it.
No doubt, man. Talking about it here, I'm like, let's go back through that thing. I mean, man, what a game.
The light machine gun was great in there. Had a great light machine gun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, it had a great.
There was a gun in there though that was a light machine gun, I think, and it was like cheating because it was really accurate. Yeah. There was no kick to it. You could use it as like an automatic sniper rifle. It was pretty bad because.
I kind of like the little subs, the little, like the MPL type guns and stuff. Those were really good.
Yeah, they did. They did great guns.
Well, let me tell you something. Setting off the alarm doesn't mean a thing if there's nobody around to call in the reinforcements. That's what the light machine gun brings to the table.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. I mean, that game had everything. I'm really interested about Far Cry 5 being in America. I'm just kind of like, what's this going to be? Because we're so used to it not being, kind of being in like a fantasy, based on some sort of reality, but still doesn't really hit home. But this one's obviously definitely going to. But we shall see. But yeah, dude, good calls on both of those. That is for sure. Well, basically come to the end of this episode. Part 3 is to come, and Mr. Ron Neese, it's going to be your turn. So you're going to have to be thinking of what co-op game you're going to share.
I'm already ready.
Oh, mama. I could, if I had like $100 million, I'd bet it all on one answer, but I'll save that.
I can guess. I can probably guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll save it.
We'll save it.
We'll save it.
The flagship game. You got it.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, until then, we appreciate you guys stopping by and taking a listen, hanging out with us for a little bit and shooting the breeze. These are some of our favorite co-op games. We'd love for you to share yours by just going to batmancavepodcast.com and leaving a comment below of any of the episodes. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for stopping by. We will catch you next time. See you later.